Enyoma Alozie. I hope I got it right. She's the head of anatomy department at Bayes University. She's actually Dr. Enyoma Alozie. Good to have you, gentleman, in the studio with us. Can I refer to you as Dr. Ibrahim? That is simple for short. That's straight to the point.
All right. It's all right.
That's fine. All right. Also to Dr. Alozie, can we refer to you as that?
Yes.
Okay. Welcome to the show and good morning to you. I hope it wasn't an issue getting to the station this morning.
No, it wasn't.
It wasn't.
Straightforward.
Drive, yeah. Aha. All right. So now we're about to start the conversation, reproductive health and hygiene issues. We'll look at, some of those reproductive health issues. And of course, any question that can follow from the chat that we're having. Of course, you are enjoying to ask questions. Send your text or WhatsApp messages to 090-9705-4450. That is where you send your text and WhatsApp messages to. Once again, 090-9705-4450. Call the studio lines to ask your questions on 090-7353-0044 or 090-8766-8888. Now let's go to let's say ladies first. So let's go to Dr. Alozie first off. So let's talk about reproductive health. When you talk about reproductive health in this part of, not just this part of the world, generally, what are you referring to? I know, is it to reproduce? Is that what he means?
Okay, thank you very much. When we talk about reproductive health, we are talking about the total well-being of a man or woman as regards everything that concerns reproduction, the reproductive system.
Okay, that's what it is about. Okay, so let me go to, because I like to have different views to the set conversation. Reproductive health, is it just male, female? What is, can you generally explain what reproductive health is? What's, part of the body, what organ? We like to break it down for the average person to understand, Dr. Ibrahim.
All right.
Yep.
Hello, our listeners. When you talk about reproductive health, you are talking also about the complete physical, mental, and social well-being of the individual as regards the reproductive system.
Okay.
Not just absence of the disease, of a particular disease entity. And when you look at it in our environment, discussing reproductive issues is a taboo.
Oh, really?
It's a taboo. Many people will not like to discuss that with your kids, I'm sure.
Oh, I see that part,
and the way
yes.
you are talking about it, you want to aspect.
Yeah.
So, and when you are talking about it, it is a process so that you can preserve the functions of the system in all stages of life.
Okay.
From delivery of the baby up to adulthood, up to retirement, up to whatever end of situation. That's what you look at in the reproductive health issues.
In the course of your explanation, you mentioned that, people barely do talk about this with their kids or their young ones and all. Why do you think that is the case? Is it religion? Is it this part of the world? Is that applicable to, the Westerners as well? Because it seems like they're way advanced. They talk about these issues. Is it because we're Africans? Why is that a problem here?
The upbringing, generally, as kids, all of us know, our listeners know, there are things that they tell you about yourself and your body what you shouldn't mention. And there are things you cannot ask questions about. Many of us ask our moms, how do babies come about? They say they go to the hospital and bring them. So we used to tell our mothers, Mommy, bring us a boy, not a girl. If you are a boy,
imagine, as if you just go and just pick anyone.
And so these are issues that we should discuss in a very simple language that the kids, the adults, the adolescents, and the adults will understand based on their abilities.
Right.
You can't discuss the obvious things that happen. With a 3-year-old child, he won't understand.
Right.
But you can tell him or her how to take care of basic hygienic practice, which may impact in later life. That's what we are talking about.
Interesting. So let me go to you, Dr. Alozie. People talk a lot about, what's your daughter-mother relationship like? There are certain things you would avoid as a girl child. You don't. In fact, if you talk to a boy, this will happen to you, and all of that. Trying, maybe in upbringing, they try to mold, the mentality of the girl child, because especially when you talk about reproductive health, people think about women first of all before even thinking about men, because that's the stereotype that's out there. So do you think that this sort of puts pressure on the women, and also does this taboo, so to speak, with regards to educating the girl child hindered a lot of information that should have been out there?
Yes, it does hinder a lot of information. It is actually not proper for mothers to hide information or paint sort of, information about reproductive health to their daughters. It's actually as a result of our culture. Our culture. Yes. Okay. Cultural practices, our cultural beliefs, and so a kind of religious beliefs also.
Okay.
Are actually the militating factors against the reproductive health education. But in my opinion, no mother should hide
such information
from their daughters. In fact, even the boy child should know about his or her his reproductive health, how to take care of himself, because the issues we are talking about involve both male and female.
But do you think the pressure is mostly, when you say reproductive, when you say, oh, this woman cannot, or you have a couple and they don't have kids, first of all, maybe something is wrong with the woman. Do you think there's a lot of pressure on women out there?
Yes. There is so much pressure on women, even though studies have shown that men have a lot of issues.
I would like to know the statistics, because since we're educating Nigerians here, before the questions will start, rolling in, let me go to you, Dr. Ibrahim. What does it start saying about, fertility issues, men, women, and all of that?
Now, statistically speaking, a survey conducted recently showed that the contribution of fertility issues is almost equal between the males and the females.
Almost
equal.
Okay.
About 30% are attributable to the woman, 30% to the men, and 30% both the men and the women are equal partners in it.
Oh, wow.
Only 10% is you cannot find any reason why there is infertility or fertility issues in those people.
Oh.
So, but generally speaking, as Dr. Alozie has said, the society tends to place more blame on the woman. And the society tends to cage the girl child from knowing her reproductive health issues. Many of us, our listeners, I'm sure the males who have daughters, when last did your daughter tell you, Dad, I'm seeing my period?
Okay. So because some people feel like,
I challenge you.
Can you?
Have you ever talked to your dad?
No, because it's like, okay, so I like that you're putting me on the spot, but I know that growing up, I was close to my dad, but I don't know that having that kind of conversation was better off with moms, because sometimes dads are like, you ask this question, they're like, this is where your mother comes in, and then so that's the case, and I'm sure it's a mirror of what society is facing today.
Our advice is, as a dad who has a daughter who is about 7 years old, you should be close to her much more than or as equal as she's close to her mom. Because if you are so close to her, she will confide certain things to you than she will confide in the mom. That's one. Secondly, you should now also institute incentives when she starts her menses. Hey, my daughter, whenever you see that issue, come, there is an allowance for you. You will keep track of her behavior.
I'm sure the girls like that part.
No, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
It's a way of getting close to her.
Yeah.
Oh, Dad, for every day of that time that the woman is seeing her period, maybe you give her 500 naira. If she does it for 5 days, she will get it for...
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? If you can afford that.
Yeah.
That way, you keep track of her menstruation, which is a major issue for the women.
Wow. So basically, you're saying, Dr. Ibrahim, you should discuss this with your fathers. Fathers discuss that with your daughters as well. Yeah. And life happens. Something might happen to the mom, and she might not be there, God forbid. So who's going to take up that responsibility of filling the gap? So I totally understand where you're coming from with that.
And incidentally, girls, on average, are closer to their dads in terms of confessing certain intimate issues. Because the dads may have the mentality to listen.
Yeah.
Unless you are the tyrannical type. You understand what I mean?
Yeah. Okay. Guys, you can join the conversation. We're about to get deep into the conversation here. We're just, touching the surface with regards to reproductive health in this part of the world. There's a notion, there's a stereotype with women. But then the doctors are saying, you know what? The men have to be as involved as the women. But sometimes, though, when the men try to be involved, it's like, the women become, the daughter-father thing is like, why are you playing my part? Let me do my part as a woman here. But then we'll get more into that, guys. The studio lines are call 090-7353-0044 or 090-8766-8888. And sure to call us up. You've got reproductive issues or, someone who does call so that the doctors can answer your questions. So let's go to common practices that could lead to reproductive issues. Let's get straight into that. Let's list them, and with time, as time goes by, we begin to explain one after the other. So, reproductive, hygiene. Some of those issues that, people face in this part of the world. But before you respond, we have a call here. Hello? Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, sir. What is your name?
My name is Mohammed, calling from
All right, Mohammed, what's your question for the doctor?
My question is, I used to masturbation, sorry.
Okay. All right, go on.
What is the effect of masturbation? I used to try to stop it, but I stopped it. Sometimes I'm doing more than 7 years I'm doing this masturbation. So I want some medicine.
Advice. All right, then. No problem. All right, then. Thank you very much. Appreciate you. Would get into that because, of course, when you talk about health, you hear different, topics like this or conversations like this or questions like this. So you guys ensure to send your text or WhatsApp messages to 0909-705-4450 as the conversation continues here with Dr. Ibrahim and Alozie. By the way, Dr. Ibrahim is a consultant gynecologist, lecturer, anatomy department, Bayes University. Also, Dr. Alozie is the head of anatomy department at Bayes University here in Abuja. Keep it here. As your questions come through, we'll, of course, ask the doctor, and you'll get your answers as the show continues. Don't move.
Eagles 102.3.
You gotta come see this.
This doesn't make any sense.
Tune in to Hall of Fame, where we strut the red carpets of the silver screen.
Learning of an infinite multiverse includes learning of infinite danger.
I am Sub-Zero. I like this one.
I know what this place is.
It's all about movies and what to watch out for every Thursday at 4 p.m. on Eagles 102.3 FM, Abuja.
Get over here!
Well, everyone focuses on staying socially distant, washing your hands, and staying safe.
Social distancing. A reminder
that the hips are there to socially dance to.
Staying safe, washing our hands,
and keeping you company
one song at a time.
The hits are on.
on 102.3 Eagles FM.
Who then my heart could have a bruise?
Sweet love, learn.
This is Eagles 102.3 FM Abuja. The greatest hits of all time.
I love it. We turn on the power in your radio.
Eagles 102.3 Abuja.
This life, it's full of many things. So many things I did see, now it make me sing.
They all are champions.
I am Aquaman.
But there are legends among champions.
I'll be back.
Hold your breath as the stars battle on Power Hour. Wednesday at 1 p.m. on Eagles 102.3 FM Abuja.
This is gonna be fun.
Power Hour. You win or you lose.
Who wants to be king?
A stitch in time saves 9. Scratch that. How about saving the 9 for a stitch in time after all? Fashion keeps evolving. Trendy Stitches brings you the ladies and gentlemen trends, the runway, corporate space, couture, hair, makeup, and definitely do's and don'ts. If it's fashion, we're talking about it.
To save our Muhammad, you need deliverance.
Okay. All right, Humble. It's in the place of the doctors to react to the listeners, okay? So maybe you want to ask questions, all right? So let's leave that to the doctors to react to. Now, let me go to you, doctor. I've asked you about some of those issues that could lead to high reproductive, issues in both men and women. So can you list them? And then we go to Mohammed's question. Dr. Ibrahim would answer that. So
okay.
Yeah.
So if we say reproductive health is a state of physical, emotional, behavioral, and social fitness for leading a reproductive life,
yep,
then anything that affects the physical state, the emotional state,
yep,
the behavior and social fitness of a man or woman would negatively would lead to reproductive ill health.
Okay.
So one of those things could be lack of information, majorly.
Okay.
Lack of information. For instance, if a girl, an adolescent girl who has started menstruating, doesn't know that she shouldn't wear a pad for more than 6 hours.
Yeah.
And she wears one pad to school in the morning, comes back from school, and continues wearing that pad till probably she goes to bed. She was tired, she goes to bed with it, and then, lack of information.
Right.
The next thing, reproductive health issues.
Yeah.
As a result of
okay, so these sanitaries you're talking about are meant to be worn for 6 hours. Maximum
Yes.
4 to 6 hours. What other, issues, Coach, because you've mentioned that, what other issues? I know you talked about environmental, physical, emotional. So I've heard that stress or emotional issues could lead to one not being open to having, or bearing kids or something like that. Can we break it down health-wise, doctor?
Yes.
Okay.
When you look at the issue at stake,
yes,
if you now buttress the point about the menstruation issue. Before now, sanitary towels or napkins are not readily available. People get rag and use the rag.
That was then.
To wash it and...
Yeah.
Now that these things are available, they should be from a hygienic source. Because sometimes some of the pads may be compromised. And blood that is coming out is a very good cultural media for growth of bacteria.
Okay, so how do you know what pad is? Because
you should make sure that it is sealed.
Okay.
And when you bring it out, it should look obviously clean.
Okay.
When it has greenish mold, please don't use it.
Don't use it. Make sure it's sealed. Any greenish molds, that is an indication that you shouldn't use it.
Yes.
Okay, so besides the stress part, how does stress affect reproductive health?
When people are stressed out, they may indulge in certain practices that are not reproductively hygienic.
Okay.
It's obvious, especially adults.
Such as queuing for fuel? I'm just saying.
No. Queuing for fuel is part of daily life.
Okay.
You just need to understand that.
Okay, so but what kind of stress then? How does it then affect you in such a way that you're not open to, bearing kids or anything like that?
Somebody who is
mentally
not stable is more likely to have aggressive tendencies.
Okay.
And that aggression can impact negatively on somebody who you try to engage in the reproductive way.
Okay. So now let me have you react to Mohammed's question. Yeah.
Regarding Mohammed's question, masturbation on its own does not overtly lead to any serious health challenge. But there is a feeling of guilt associated with it. And for your information, women too masturbate. It's not just the men. They may be engaged in that. And if somebody becomes addicted to it, it can affect their psychological, social, and emotional attachment to a partner they may eventually get to settle with.
Oh, okay.
That's one.
Yeah.
The other aspect is excessive practice of it can lead to desensitization.
Oh.
And desensitization can lead to lack of attention and discharging somebody's duties in the other room, as they say it. So that can lead to further stress.
Okay.
And there are men that have been shown not to even come to work because they are addicted to such practice. And such men will need psychotherapy and counseling to desensitize them. But what is important is this: if you can be in a mutually beneficial and painful relationship, why do you have to do it alone? There are natural ways of doing it.
Yeah. Okay, doctor. Besides, the pads, I want us to mention as much as we can practices that people engage in that could lead to other reproductive issues. You've mentioned, the pad not having to use it for more than 6 hours. That's at max, like you said. What other things could lead to one, having reproductive issues?
Maybe I'll come here.
Okay.
Also.
All right.
Since we are talking about the girl child.
Yes. We'll move
female
to the
genital cutting, what they call female genital mutilation, is one practice that is currently being criminalized. A young girl in about 5 years, 6 years, 7 years is taken without anesthesia, without use of sterile equipment, and her most sensitive part is cut off. That has a psychological effect on her for her life. Secondly, if such an equipment contains viral agent, you're already infecting her with a viral disease, hepatitis, HIV, and whatnot. Likewise, secondary bacterial infection of the cut area can affect to poor healing. And when she finally settles down for family life, whenever she's close to her partner, she may be experiencing excruciating pains because of scarring there. So these are issues that we should address in our reproductive health practices.
Okay. So genital mutilation, as you mentioned. What other practice? Let me go to you now, Dr. Alozie. For female, we'll go to male shortly. Some of those issues that could lead to reproductive, problems later in future, or even as it's being practiced.
Okay. So we have talked about lack of information, knowing how to use the pad. Another thing is, for most female children or even adolescents, even adults, do not know how to keep the vaginal area clean and free of infections. For instance, A woman might be in the market all day. It may have probably rained, her drizzles, her clothes were wet on her, and then she's there till evening. She has to finish selling her wares before she gets home, and her undies are wet.
Dirty,
down, you know? And that enables a very wonderful environment for bacteria to thrive. Okay. And then the next thing you hear, oh, I have itching, I have some rashes, burning sensation, and so forth. So these are some practices that many women engage in, and they have some reproductive ill health. Funny enough, when this happens, you don't see them seek medical care. They go to one person or the other, or they will just go to the chemist, say, oh, I have itching, give me one thing. And then they give them, You understand? Now, use of drugs. Use of drugs, either orthodox or natural herbs, that are not prescribed by a physician, that are used for those sensitive parts of the body, could lead to future
issues as well. Oh wow. So what other issues have we not mentioned? Yes, other things we've not mentioned, and then we move to the gentlemen or guys out there, issues with reproduction.
Simple hygiene.
Simple hygiene practice.
Many of the ladies listening to this program may be surprised as to how do they clean when they go to the convenience and do number 1 and number 2. You know what is number 2, the big one?
No idea. Oh, okay.
Number 2.
Okay.
That's the big one.
Okay.
So when somebody has answered the call of nature and deposited things in the convenience, there is a particular way of cleaning. Many women,
they are not aware.
They start cleaning number 2 before they clean number 1. You are saying, oh no, maybe there are
out of ignorance.
They do that. So, and when you clean number 2 first, and you come to clean the front, you are just smearing fecal matter to that area, and more than 90% of fecal matter is made up of bacteria. That's one. Another thing is that some women excessively clean their intimate parts with all sorts of chemicals.
That's the soaps.
The douching cream, the douching pump, the douching. For your information, my dear listener, that area has a natural defense mechanism made up of healthy bacteria that reside inside. If you use external agents, you disturb those bacteria and they die off, and the harmful bacteria outgrown themselves, and then they give you issues. So you see, those are the practices that people don't know.
But let me open the studio lines again, guys. You can call the studio lines. If you've got a message, you can send a text or WhatsApp message to 090-9705-4450. That's for the text line, okay? You can text me or WhatsApp me 090-9705-4450. Any question you have for the doctors in-house, you're ready to answer your question. You can call the studio lines as well. Studio lines to call us 090-7353-0044. You've been needing them to ask your questions. You can also call 090-8766-8888. Any question you have there, ensure to call. This one here from Francis says, Olija, good morning to you. Good to have the doctors in-house from Bayes University. My question this morning is, I'm itching and waiting to hear the doctors talk about the male part as well, because there's a misconception about women having reproductive issues, just like you mentioned, Olije. Can they highlight some of the issues that could lead to male reproductive issues? Let me have you, Dr. Ibrahim, step in on this.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that. The male individual has as equal important reproductive health challenges as the woman.
Yeah.
One of them is his ability not to misuse himself. Because somebody who is doing, he gets infected, his reproductive system will become compromised and he will lead to discharge from his private part, swelling of his balls, problem with micturition, that's passing urine, and even blockage of the pipe that the urine of nature, maybe to do number 1 or number 2 especially, they don't clean the place. Somebody who has deposited some bacteria or viruses there, the person who sits, the male who sits there, can get himself a baggage on his private part, especially syphilis. Syphilis is highly contagious. And before he knows it, he'll start seeing sores on his private part, and then he has reproductive issues.
Wow.
And by nature, men are usually adventurous. But curtail your adventure, please.
Okay. All right, then. We have a question here from Young. Young here says, good morning, my sister. Please, my question for the doctor, what Mohammed asked, if it's a sin, when a woman is not ovulating, what is the cause? 2, how can a woman get rid of itches? 3, he says, is it a good thing for a man to see semen in urine? His name is Young. Now, the doctors will react to your questions. Like we said, the studio lines are open to you. You can call us up to ask. Now is the time. We're taking calls. 090-8766-8888. If you want, you can be anonymous, however it is called, and sure to ask your questions as we've got the right experts in here to answer them. Again, the number is 090-7 calls here. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Hi there. Good morning. What is your name?
By name Wicked Vibes.
Wicked Vibes. All right. What's your question for the doctor? Yeah.
Okay, I just want to confirm. So, my question is, does emotions affect menstrual cycle?
Does what? Emotion. That's your mental. Yeah. Okay.
Menstrual cycle.
Okay, all right. Menstrual cycle. All right. Thank you so much, Wicked Vibes. That's really interesting question. The doctors are taking note of your questions. That's from Wicked Vibes. We got this one already from Young. So they would react to your questions, okay? 090-7353-0044, 090-8766-8888. Quickly, doctor, in the course of your explanation, you mentioned that it's possible to pick up some of these bacterial viruses from the bathroom or the convenience. Is that true? Because some people say, oh, you cannot, get infected from the bathroom. It's either from one individual to the other. Quickly, in 30 seconds, is that a possibility?
You can.
Oh,
especially
really?
syphilis and human papilloma virus.
Wow.
There are other viruses that can be picked.
Wow. Okay, so the conversation continues. Keep it here, rolling your questions. I'll take this call before we do a breather. Hello? Oh, please turn off your radio set, guys. You already know that the radio has to be turned out before we can talk. Hello, what's your name?
Hello, this is Joy.
Hi, Joy. Where are you calling from, Joy?
I'm calling from Oku.
So, Joy, what's your question for the doctor?
For this more than 15 years, I've been treating. Doesn't mean they doesn't have a final solution for it. I've been going from one hospital to another, but there is no solution. I've taken more than, in fact, both herbal, both traditional, both both. In fact, I've gone to the doctor too. They've been treating. After treating, they say they come back. I don't know. Does it mean?
All right, then. No problem. Keep listening, Joy. They will react to you shortly. We've got Wicked Vibes, Joy, and Young with their questions. After this, the doctors will come in.
Trendy Stitches every Wednesday, 11 a.m. with Olije on 102.3 Extra. Trendy Stitches. Make your everyday a runway.
It's Tongue Twister Friday. Hills by the seashore. Seashells by the seashore.
I used to wash my Irish fish, but I used to wash my Irish fish, but I used to wash my Irish fish, but I used to...
You were like my Irish fish wash.
Message to 090-9705-4450.
Maybe not.
Eagles 102.3 FM. Your radio experience you can count on. Keep listening.
Eagles.
Baby, don't lie. I don't wanna cry no longer.
Music. I know you do.
Show me
media platforms, Facebook and Instagram at Eagles FM Abuja, or send us a WhatsApp message to 09097.
Eagles 102.3.
Okay, everybody listen up.
Hey there, my name is Utodo, and you're listening to Eagles 102.3 FM. Connect with us on all social media platforms.
With Dr. Ibrahim and Dr. Alozie here. It's Mind and Body, and we're still talking. Join the conversation. We've got questions to be answered. The doctor will take out 30 seconds to answer your question. So let me go to Dr. Alozie. You've mentioned also environmental fact that will be
and the body.
So it's a possibility that it can affect
it. Controlled by the endocrine system.
Okay.
So you see, you treat only 2, the third team member is not treated.
And then the right
system.
Yep.
There are 2